And welcome, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, welcome to us this evening. Tonight, we have an interesting topic to talk about, and we're going to talk about all the different aspects of it, and it's called RESPECT. Find out what it means to me. I feel like breaking into song. I feel a little bit of Aretha. Feel the soul of Aretha down here? What do you think, Russ? Do you think Aretha's in our basement?
Nah.
No? Okay. Well, we're going to start out just by having a little chat with you guys. I'm Kimberly, and
I'm Russell.
Russell Mann, and we are TAMT
Excuse
Homes.
my hair tonight.
Yeah, I just all of a sudden looked
It's
over.
because I've had headset on all day.
Listening that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we are TAMT Homes at Shore West Realtors, and this is our live broadcast. We come live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Rain or shine, snow or sleet, we're practically like the post office, only better. Because at least we're here every day.
And it doesn't take 2 days to arrive.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't take days and days and days to arrive. And recently the post office hadn't been so rain, sleet, snow, shine ability type things. So anyway, nice to see you guys tonight. If you have something to say, please drop it in the chat, and Russ will be able to see what you're saying. He monitors the chat on his side, and I monitor all the broadcast software and stuff like that on my side. And I just realized, Russ, I did not adjust the camera from the other day when I pushed the whole thing
the other
back.
screen isn't on.
Yeah, but you know what? It works.
Yeah.
That's all right. The other
Yeah.
screen doesn't have to be on right
Okay.
now. So, anyway, we're talking about respect tonight. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we did, what we've been doing this last week. And
So we've been working
super busy
on the kitchen, doing more.
Yep, absolutely. But we've also, kind of what did we do today was kind of like the end of our first week.
Yeah. So we was in a conference with a load of other agents.
Yep.
As a mastermind conference where lots of agents get together and give out ideas, and there was a lot of good content. There was breakout rooms in it, and it was all virtual.
Yep.
But it was really good. There was agents from Canada, Seattle, all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely, all over the place. I was trying to get Russ's camera up there, and it just wouldn't let me do it. So I guess I'll get mine up here for right now. So today we ended our first week with our new mentor coursework that we've started. We're going to bring you some really cool upgrades to our service. You're not really going to see them so much on the front end, but what you're going to see is you're going to see more of what we do, and you're going to see it more streamlined. And the great thing about that is that we're going to be able to do a lot of things that we weren't able to do before once we get through this course, as far as like smooth and ease of transactions, which means that when we get in the weeds, well, really what this course is about is for us when we get in the weeds, which is, we get a lot of transactions going at once, that the balls don't get dropped and nothing happens and nothing gets forgotten, nothing gets scrambled, and we always get that cool, calm, collected demeanor, right, Russ?
Yeah, that's what we're
about.
hoping for.
Not what we're hoping for. It's what we know is going to happen.
Yep.
Because we already know the person who runs this course and how successful it is.
Oh, yeah.
Not even concerned about that at all, about whether we're going to get results. It's more about, okay, how long is it going to take me and him, the two most stubborn people in the world, to be able to be coachable? That's the real question. What do you think, Russ? How long is it going to take you and me to figure out how to do what we need to do?
I think we're getting a handle on it. It's taken a while to get there, I know, but we've started this course and we're both really on board with it. So we want to get the most out of it. It's a new coaching program, and it's gonna teach us a lot.
There we go. I got your camera fixed.
Woohoo.
So now people can see your whole top of your head
And
where it's
see
all
me.
messy, like you said before. When you pointed out that your hair was messy,
Yeah.
nobody could really see it. So now I've let
Good.
everybody see it. No, it's not that messy. It looks fine on camera. I'm good with it. You're
It's
good
all
with
over
it.
the place.
Let's talk about, so today we had an entire day of course training, which was really intense.
Yes.
In fact, I actually took a little nap between the end of that at 4 o'clock and now.
Yeah.
And you took a little nap in the middle of it because one of the course parts wasn't really about you so much, and so, but it was pretty intense. I think that's the thing. It's interesting that some of these courses that you go to, they're just kind of like, oh, okay, it's same old, same old. This one had so much packed into it that you almost felt like your brain was getting overloaded, but in a good way. Like,
tons
of
it was
notes.
Definitely a good way.
Yeah, super, super excited about all of this and where it's going to go for everything. But I also know that people have been wondering about what's going on with our kitchen. So just before I came down here, I took a short video so people could see some of the progress. So I thought I would share that with everybody right now. So I cannot control the speed of this video, folks. So please don't judge on that. I can't control the speed, but I will try to talk as quickly as possible as we go through with this video. So here it goes. Let's see if I can get it to go in here. All right, I can get that. All right, great. So now I can push play. So this is what, and actually I think I can pause it. Oh, that's good. I can pause it. I can't control the speed, but I can pause it. So for those of you that have been maybe wondering a bit about what our kitchen looks like or what it's going to look like, this is kind of a sample because this side, all the cabinets are hung. There is no tile up yet. This whole area between the cabinets, though, from end to end, is going to be tiled. We've got these great tiles that are going to go there. But what's nice is you can now see the pantry, which we're currently using for tool storage every night. So
there's shop vac in there, tools.
Yep. Exactly. And I did not clean up the kitchen before I took this video, so please be kind to me. But as you can see, it wraps around because we do have a galley style kitchen, and it wraps down to the other side. You can see now that the whole hallway out here, which this was all ripped out, the ceiling, the walls, every single bit of this was ripped out. It's now been, all the new drywall's been hung. It's been mudded and taped. And by the way, for those of you that might want to know, this is Sergio's work that he's doing, and even halfway through, his work looks really good. When he finishes, well, to be honest, if I can, let me see if I can back up this video or not. No, I can't back up the video, but if you see the pantry again, that's actually his finished work, and it looks really super good. So let's continue on. So you can see it's on this side. We're going to have a couple more cabinets on this side on the top, one on the bottom, and then right up here where you can see that outlet, that's where the vent fan is going to be over top of the stove. And then that's my chimney. That's the chimney that I just spent a lot of time. Sergio took down all the stuff from it, but how long? Man, that took me 2 hours last week, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or a couple weeks ago? No, it was just a week and a half ago. I talked about it last week, but that's the fateful chimney, folks, that it took me over 2 hours to do that primer coat. Still haven't done the gloss coat yet, but that's okay. We've been doing other stuff, like getting the
when we do the walls,
up.
we can do the gloss.
So you'll see right here that you can see where the new subfloor has been put in. We still have to continue that subfloor all the way to the front door, but there's still flooring that has to be pulled up. But right now, that subfloor is it's even more than 3/4 of the way, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
it's the majority of the way.
It's like 8/10 of the way.
Yeah.
It's like well, that is 3/4, 8/10. What am I thinking? 9/10 of the way. So 9/10 of the way. That's just a little tiny strip back here. So that's kind of how the kitchen.
And some more shelving to put up inside the.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of shelving.
Pantry and.
Ton of shelving that goes inside this pantry. There's a light. You can see the light.
The wire.
The wire for the light is there. So there is still some stuff to finish or finalize, but we received a bunch of shipments this week. Let me go back to us so people can actually see us. And we actually we received the light. There's a light that goes in the front hallway.
Yeah.
We got that this week, but we're leaving it in the box because of all the dust that's everywhere.
Yeah, and there's still sanding going on, and then there'll be painting.
Right.
And then we'll fit it.
Right, exactly. Then we'll put it in. So we've got some other things. We do have the vent fan that goes in over top of the stove. We've got that, so we know what size and everything for that. We do have the tiles. So the tiles are also going to go above the stove for those of you that are interested in knowing. And yeah, so that's kind of the progress so far. Any questions or anything you want to ask, just drop it in the chat. And let's get to our topic tonight. What's our topic tonight, Russ?
Our topic tonight is respect.
Respect. So it's such a touchy topic because I think that real estate is one of the weirdest business transactions there is, because it's not strictly business. I mean, there's so many emotions involved in the sale or the purchase of a home. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Do you have anything in the chat that you want to talk about?
No, nothing in the chat. We have we do
Couple of
have
people-
someone
couple people
watching
watching?
on YouTube, and
Hello, Sandy.
I did have somebody watching on my Facebook as
Okay.
well, but they've gone.
But they've gone. That's
Yeah.
all right. They didn't want to see our kitchen. That's fine. So respect is such a hard thing because in a transaction, people want to get the max money, which is what we do.
Yeah.
We get people the max money in the shortest amount, like in a really short time with our making
Well, we
waves
get our
method.
sellers the max money, and
Sellers
then
the
we
max
try
money.
to get our buyers a
The best deal.
bargain.
Yeah. But honestly, sometimes it's
It's
not
not
about the
always
best
down
deal.
a price, but it
And
is.
that's what makes it such a weird
Yeah.
thing. I mean, why don't you talk about the fact from the buyer's side about how sometimes respect isn't giving just the asking price. Sometimes, what do buyers have to do in order to show respect and get their offer accepted?
Well, sometimes they have to offer something that isn't straightforward, like maybe allowing the seller to stay there a few extra days.
Well, yeah, you were just looking over one of our closing files for the team because that's
Uh-huh.
one of Russ's jobs. If in case you guys didn't know, he actually I oversee all the listing side. He oversees all the buyer side. So when we have a file that is under a property that's under contract, we have to create a file to put all the documents together to keep it in. It's part of the state of Wisconsin requirements. And Russ's job is to check those files over before they go up to corporate to make sure they're right for all the buyer stuff.
Yeah.
So you were looking at one today, and you noticed. What did you notice about it?
Well, that it had an occupation agreement
Right.
where they was allowing the seller to stay in the house for up to 19 days after closing
With at no charge.
at no charge.
Right. Exactly.
There was a fee in case of damages, like a deposit.
Like a security deposit.
Yeah, exactly. And they're still responsible for all the insurance and paying utility bills, etc. during that period.
Well, we refer to that as post occupancy.
Yeah.
We call that. That's always called post occupancy. If you have somebody like a buyer who
Sometimes we
moved in
charge
beforehand,
for that as well. Sometimes
but we don't charge. But the buyer charges
No.
the seller, or the seller charges
Yeah.
the buyer.
sometimes the new
The
owner
contract.
will want a rent,
Yes.
basically. A minimal rent, but it's
Like a daily rate.
Yeah, a daily rate for how many
But
days?
some buyers have been winning contracts specifically because they're offering to let the seller stay for a week or two,
Yeah.
etc. after closing.
Because then it can turn the seller's purchase into a cash closing.
Right, but it also makes it easier for that seller to move,
Yes.
if that's a possibility.
Because they've already got the money up front to pay for
Mm-hmm.
the removal company, or maybe they're moving
and
away.
they can put their, well, the thing is, it makes it easy. Like, let's say,
also gives them the chance to decorate their new place before moving in some cases.
exactly. So maybe they set up the whole thing where they want to hire somebody to paint the whole new house.
Yeah.
And it's going to take them 3 or 4 days to do that. Well, they don't want to move their furniture and everything in if they don't have to. So if they can get a week or two after closing to move in,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Now, some loan programs won't allow you to go over a certain period of time.
Well, it won't let you go indefinite, but every loan program out there that I'm aware of allows you to go at least 30 days, 60 days.
yeah.
Some of them
Normally
actually
it's
allow
30.
90. No,
Yeah.
actually FHA
Really?
is 60.
Is it?
FHA
Wow.
is 60, VA is 60. I don't know about WIDA, but I know it's at least 30. So yeah, they'll at least 30 days for any of the loan programs that I'm aware of here will allow that post occupancy for at least 30 days. So yeah, that can be really helpful to the seller.
There you go.
for sure.
I've learned something new.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so anyway, so post occupancy can be one way for a buyer to win
Yeah.
out, so to speak. If
Yeah,
they-
because there's things. It doesn't cost the buyer anything by doing that, because they're still closing on the house.
Yep.
It becomes theirs. They get a key at closing.
Yep.
They just can't move in yet.
Right. And since if you're a first-time home buyer, it's a really great way because most first-time home buyers are just closing whenever they can close.
Yeah.
And they're still in a rental unit.
Yeah.
That maybe they're in that rental unit until the end of the month anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're closing like the first or second week of the month and they give the seller, the time to move out, or let's say they're even closing on the last day of the month, but they give the seller 2 weeks to move in, and they're going to go ahead and not have a rushed move in themselves. So they give the seller 2 weeks to stay, and that still gives them another 2 weeks before their lease runs out to get moved into the house. So that can be really, really helpful to all the parties, and that's one way to express respect.
Yes.
So what's some other ways that we have seen people maybe express or not express respect to the other party?
Well, sometimes it's the age-old thing, the lowball offer. That's not always showing respect to the seller.
Or to be honest, it really doesn't show it doesn't really show respect on the part. It really puts a bad taste in the seller's mouth and makes the buyer look bad. It doesn't set the transaction up for success if it's a super lowball offer. Yeah,
I've seen it where it's a super lowball offer, and obviously as an agent, the listing agent still has to present that to the seller. And I've had the seller get so upset over the offer that they refuse to even counter it, reject it. No, not doing anything.
They're just not even. They just completely flat out ignore it.
Completely blank the offer.
Right.
And then when the buyer improves that offer, so we better improve the offer because we really like that house.
Yeah.
They still won't even entertain it because they were so offended at the first offer.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to understand that there is a certain amount of respect. Now, that doesn't mean that every time a seller gets upset because of a lowball offer, because sometimes, and while we don't generally work with people like this, there are some sellers who vastly overprice their house.
Yeah, there are.
And if they really overprice their house, then they really need to expect a lowball offer.
Yes.
That's really just how it goes. I mean, that's where
the agent comes in to actually advise the buyer. If the agents advise the buyer that it should be a higher price, it's worth more.
Yep.
Maybe some houses do warrant a slightly lower price.
Yep.
But it's when people come in 60, 70,000 under, and it's a real lowball offer.
So I had a seller once that received a super lowball offer, and I think the house was listed at like 80,000, 90,000. This was a few years back when the market was much more depressed than it is now. And let's see, I think the house was listed at 90,000, and we received an offer that was like 50 grand. So it was almost like half price, basically.
Yeah.
And the seller was so disgusted and just thought that was just like the dumbest thing ever. And she was really like, "Are you kidding me?" She goes, "Are these people stupid? What's wrong with it?" And I said, "You know what we can do? You can do any counter that you want. I think we should counter this offer." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, let's counter it." So she countered back at 140. Even though she was only listed at...
Yeah,
she said,
I remember this one, yeah.
She goes, I figure if they can lowball me, I can counter them at the same... I was like 130 or something. Basically, whatever the difference was between her list price and their price, she felt like she was going to go that above her list price. And when I sent it over to the other agent went, "Right, so she's not serious, is she?" And I said, "Well, was your buyer serious with their offer?" Because she didn't think they were serious, so she figured they were just having some fun, so she'd have some fun back. And the other agent just kind of rolled their eyes, and I was like, "I can't help it. It's my seller has to do.
You have to present it."
I gotta present what I've got to do, what my seller instructs me to do. I have to say, there was a little part of me inside that kind of did laugh at that because there was a little bit of me that went, "Okay, that was kind of funny," because it was.
It was. If you want to be stupid, I can be stupid. There we go. You want it 40 grand under? I'll do it 40 grand over.
Look, she eventually accepted an offer on that property that was like 5 grand under, and that was totally reasonable.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
She totally understood that the property may not have been worth 90, but she didn't even want to entertain or respond seriously. And see, that's what happens when you get those lowball offers. But then the other part is, there's the other part of the respect that when you're going through the transaction, the idea of nickel and diming each other to death.
Yeah.
So first of all, on the seller side, I encounter this a lot with sellers during the inspection saying no to everything, and especially this spring, we've seen a lot of sellers who just flat out said, "Nope, I had 20 offers on my property, and I don't care. I'll take it. I'll put it back out there, and somebody will take it, and I don't have to do any fixes." But the basement's like really serious stuff showed up in the inspection.
Yeah.
And I know that especially with Will and Keela, it didn't happen on any of my listings, but it happened with Will and Keela for some of their buyers, where their buyers had to say, yeah, but the problem is nobody knew that this was that bad. Like,
Yeah.
nobody knew that the furnace was basically dead. Nobody knew that also the water heater was already leaking, and it wasn't obvious because of how close it was to the floor drain and just the way it was in the closet or something. Or nobody knew that the basement walls were completely leaned in because an inspector hadn't been through and really checked them thoroughly. So nobody knew these problems existed. And those 20 offers
And they were all major. Yeah.
Right, all major. And those 20 offers they got, yeah, those 20 offers aren't going to be as happy with that either. Like, this is the assumption that sellers were
Especially
having.
as now technically they now have to declare that
Yeah, they have to
in
disclose
the
that
real
technically.
estate condition report.
Absolutely.
So therefore, before the others then make an updated offer,
Yep.
they would have to be party to that new information.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that's something to remember because, but then buyers, you know what? Be respectful to the sellers too, because sometimes you're asking for stuff that's just so minor.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but right now during a really competitive time when houses were just flying off the market, please don't ask for downspout extensions. Go to Menards and buy them. They're $5 a piece. And if you have like 4 downspouts in your house, if that's all, that's $20 you pull out of your pocket. It is not a serious defect in a house, especially if there's no water damage to the basement with no downspout extensions. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have them. I'm not saying they're not good maintenance. I'm saying please don't expect that the seller should have to run and do that. I mean, please do not give a defect because you found a scratch on a wall. I mean, the seller may not even have their original paint. I mean, come on, let's be reasonable here. The stuff that you asked for is the stuff that's actually a defect. Like grounded outlets, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is this idea. We have a 1940s or 50s built house, and a buyer walks in and they're like, oh, it's a defect because it's not to code. Okay, so first of all, we need to educate people because not to code is kind of wishy-washy thing because it was to code when it was
depends
built.
on when it was put in.
Exactly.
So if it was to code at the time of construction, then it's to code.
Yep, exactly. So you can't really say, oh, it's not to code, that's a defect. No, not being up to current new codes does not make something a defect.
Unless you just put it in.
Yeah. Now, if somebody just put in new electric and everything and the outlets are not
then
grounded,
it should be up to code.
Then it should be up to code because they just had this done. But if that was not, I mean...
If that was original, then...
So what's interesting is I once had a house where the home inspector came in and he said that the furnace was defective. And the reason, and he was adamant about it, was this is defective, it's defective, it's defective. The furnace was like 30 years old. And we called in an HVAC person, a specialist, to take a look at it and fix the problem. And they came in and they went, there's no problem. Why is there no problem? Well, because this particular furnace model, that's the way it was built. It doesn't fire up the same way that other furnaces did. And my seller was a little confused because she's like, I've never had a problem with the furnace. Like she always maintained it every year. She had somebody come in and do what she needed to do. And it just wasn't a problem.
It was a problem with the inspector.
It was a problem with the inspector.
He didn't understand that model.
Right. So inspectors, you have to look at them as like a general doctor.
Yeah.
So at the inspection, folks, look, let's be reasonable. Let's kind of try and be a little bit kind here and understand that a lot of times, and some buyers will look at sellers, they'll be like, oh, that seller, oh, they were terrible because they knew this was a defect. They knew this was a problem, blah, 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 and they never fixed it. Well, no, not really. I mean, Especially if when they bought the house, they were told that it was just fine.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even necessarily know. And if they've never had any problems with it, why would they think it's a defect? So a lot of times I think buyers, the part of the respect is that buyers need to understand that sellers don't always know their houses as well as buyers think they do, which the buyer will find out once they own a house, how real that situation is.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a part of the respect. But then there's another aspect of respect that I've just gone through on a transaction. We actually just had a cancellation and mutual release. We're going to talk about our open houses for this weekend at the end of the video, or at the end of this broadcast tonight. But I just had a property that the offer fell apart because the buyer couldn't complete their lending. And what we found out was actually what I would term under the level of disrespect. The lender did not have enough respect for the buyers to be honest with them because they actually haven't been qualified. They also didn't have respect enough to us to tell us the buyers did not have a down payment saved. They did not have their closing costs ready, and they had no way to get them. And we didn't know that until we finally were like, we don't understand. Why is this lender not closing, etc.? My seller said, nope. If they want to continue this transaction, they need to go to a different lender. They need to do this differently. And when they did that, well, we found out from the new lender who did not qualify them. Really good lender, by the way. The second lender was somebody who's really, really good, but they didn't qualify them to buy a house because they didn't have a down payment and they didn't have closing costs. So how do you expect to buy a house? And it wasn't the buyer's fault because the buyers had actually been told that it was okay to layer a personal loan on top of the regular loan by their lender, who was not respectful of the process or the ethics involved. So that one was a completely bad lender. I mean, it was just, we had extension after extension on that contract because he was saying, we haven't done this. How many appraisals did it have? It had 2 appraisals, both
already, and then he wanted a third one.
Both appraisals had met value. The third appraisal was because he hadn't put it into the system right, he said, which is a bunch of baloney because the real problem was that the buyers didn't have down payment and didn't have closing costs. And I think he was just stringing us along.
Yeah, I think he was just playing for time.
Absolute disrespect from a lender to do that. So this is why when you pick a lender, make sure you pick somebody that your agent says, yes, they're good. Because we have 3 we have 3 of them that we recommend to people. However, even if you don't pick one of the 3 that we recommend that we know are awesome, brilliant, excellent, I can guarantee you others that are really good, we're still aware of them.
Oh yeah.
So
we know the good ones and we know the not so good ones.
Yep.
Because there's some of them out there as well.
We've had 2 this year that were not so good. This person, and then there's another woman who I will never advise my sellers to accept an offer from these 2 lenders in the future because they were very, very shady in the way they handled stuff. And that's not respectful.
No, it's not.
So
to anyone involved, because the seller now has to put it back on the market.
Yep.
It's several months after the original listing.
Oh my
list
goodness.
date.
And this is now the 3rd buyer because the first buyer for this particular condo didn't ask we had an offer.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask his wife whether she wanted to buy a condo or whether she wanted to move back to Racine or Mount Pleasant in this case. And when he got under contract, he turned around 3 days later and said, we need to cancel this contract because my wife won't let me buy this. And I'm like, we're sitting here going, okay, the contract was signed by both the husband and the wife. So the husband must have signed it on behalf of the wife. And the wife was like, nope, I'm not moving back there. I don't know why you would have done this. I'm not moving back there. We're not going. I was like, this poor seller of mine has been through the ringer. And she has an amazing property.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice property. At no point
has this property not passed with flying colors. It passed through an inspection with the second buyers. It's gone through 2 appraisals with flying colors. No problems on any of that stuff. But
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 the lender has let them down.
the lender let him down. The buyer let us down the first time.
Yeah.
So it's just
And
crazy.
the buyer
But
the
you know, that's
second
kind
time
of a lack
because
of respect. That
they
first
weren't
time,
prepared.
yeah, the first buyer. That's a little bit of a lack of, not a little bit. That's a lack of respect in not disclosing to
Yeah.
the seller that he hadn't already talked to his wife, that he did not, that he didn't already have her on board for this.
And the second one, you can't always blame the buyer because they're not the experts.
No, they're not.
The agent and the loan officer are the experts.
Yep.
And so if the loan officer says, yeah, of course you can buy this one.
Yep. Exactly. Why would the buyer know it? I mean, they wouldn't know any better.
Exactly. We can structure it
problem
this
I
way
had-
or that way, but
The only problem I had was that yesterday when I found out, after I spoke to the new lender and found out that this was falling apart for sure, and we were a little disappointed. When I called the other agent, but the thing that really disappointed me was that when I spoke to that new lender, she told me that she had already told the buyer this and the buyer's agent 24 hours previously,
yeah.
and nobody had called us. And I had texted the buyer's agent that morning.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to the buyer's agent, that buyer's agent, and I won't even say whether it's a she or a he, but that buyer's agent actually flat out lied to me, and I thought that was a really big sign of disrespect, because at no point had I ever been disrespectful to that agent.
Yeah.
I'd not treated them with disrespect. Why would you? And there's no point to it. If you're not going to complete, just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a really lovely seller.
Get
on the
out
side
and let the
moved
seller
out.
move on.
The seller, my seller, is now paying rent and mortgages,
mortgage.
and of course the condo fees, because she moved out at the end of June, because that's when we were supposed to close.
Yeah.
And then it kept getting extended.
She moved into a rental, which was always a plan.
That was the plan, but she wouldn't have had to move in
No.
until we had a solid contract. So
Yeah. So it's these are the things that really bug us in the industry, is people being dishonest and people not showing respect to other agents and all the people involved in a transaction. So,
oh my goodness,
are you okay, my dear?
I'm fine. I will be fine. Oh my goodness, that was funny. Oh, well, that was caught on camera, and that was fun. Oh, I breathed in at the same time I took a drink. Whew! I'm gonna tell you guys, I really like squirt, but man, does it burn going down the wrong way. Absolutely. So, respect. So we've got the buyers need to respect the sellers. The other thing is, sellers and buyers, you need to respect your agents.
Yeah.
We haven't really dealt with that.
Because sometimes
Your agent
buyers
is
or
not against
sellers,
you.
no, buyers or sellers, sometimes they try to hide things from their agent or from the loan officer.
It always cracks me up when this happens, because
But it's always going to come out in the
it's
end.
never going
All
to
you're
end
doing
well.
is fooling yourself.
Absolutely, it never ends well
No.
when you hide something from your agent, the agent who's representing you.
Yeah.
There is absolutely zero reason. They don't have to disclose everything to the other
No.
side.
No, the agent will be able to maybe find a workaround, maybe find, it's like,
A solution to the problem.
a solution to the problem, maybe a different lender that could help you.
Oh goodness, I'm still coughing a bit. All right, so we meet.
Have another drink.
I already did, actually. We have not solved the problem yet, but we're going to keep trying. Oh, my goodness. So, respect. We have to have respect for everybody.
Yeah.
Because what it comes down to is that these are humans.
Yep.
We all are humans. We're all involved in this transaction. And while we can all make errors and make mistakes,
But we're there to try and help, to make, smooth out the situation. And because we do this for a living, we do it on a regular basis, then we know, we've dealt with these situations before. We can advise you on what the best route is to go, or maybe the best person to speak to.
Absolutely. Woo! I think I'm gonna go.
You know, because even our three preferred lenders that we use, I mean, we've used other lenders as well, and they're equally as good, but they're not on our preferred list. But we have three preferred lenders that we like to use, but they're vastly different. They each bring something to the table. So, you know, one maybe have down payment assistance. Another one is just really good and thorough at their admin, and they always close. They're regular. They still have all the programs, the FHA, the VA, WIDA, conventional. They just may not be hooked into the grant program. So if you don't need grant money, then we would send you to them. You know, of our three lenders, one Spanish speaking.
Well, that's really important for our clients, because we have quite a few clients that come to our team that speak Spanish.
Yes. So that's why we made it a point to find a really good Spanish speaking lender.
Yep, exactly, because that's a really important thing.
Yeah.
When you're talking about your money with a lender, you need to be comfortable to be able to do that.
Definitely.
That's super, super important.
So that's why we have worked with several Spanish speaking lenders.
There are multiple that are good. Don't get us wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What we try to do when we pick a preferred lender, what we're trying to do when we put somebody on our preferred list, is that they are the best of the best.
Yeah.
It's not that there aren't others that are really
They're
good.
the ones we've never had a problem with.
Right.
They've always closed the transaction.
Always close.
Always communicate with both the agent and the client.
Yep.
And that is a big thing as well.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, when we get someone that works to our excellent standard, then we want to keep them.
Absolutely.
And if they ever fall down on the job, which some have done,
Yep.
you know, they've fallen down, they come off our list and somebody else goes on.
And I don't mean that they come off our list because they make one little mistake.
No.
No, it's we wait to see if there's a consistent pattern of a problem. And if there's a consistent pattern of a problem, then I can't recommend them.
So if somebody's not communicating with the agent and the client, then, well, that's not very good.
No.
You know, if we've recommended them and all of a sudden they're not talking to either us or the client, then that's not good. So they would come off our list.
Just really busy.
Yeah.
And we understand that happens, but you still have to communicate that. So when people come off our list, it does not mean that they won't close. It doesn't mean that they're not a good person. It doesn't mean that at all.
No.
What it means is that there is some inconsistency in behavior and in patterns in their business that lead to insecurity in the client, and we don't want any of our clients to ever have to be insecure.
No.
Same is true with
we
our home
want the
inspectors.
smooth transaction that, you know, and to do that we need everybody to be on the same page.
And same is true with home inspectors.
Yeah.
We now use primarily Marco Celeste and Jason Geiger from Curb Appeal and Priority One.
Both excellent inspectors.
Both excellent inspectors. We did used to have somebody else instead of Jason.
Yeah.
But then that home inspector started missing really obvious things
or saying something was a defect when it wasn't.
Yeah. Gave some misinformation at a couple of transactions, and then did the same for a couple of our colleagues as well. And we went, we can't continue to support this person's business.
No.
They're not a terrible person, and they still have a decent business.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they've gotten some more training, but, you know.
But
overall, we couldn't put our name.
We then came across Jason. He'd been out there for quite some time.
Well, we've been considering adding Jason anyway, because he came highly recommended by some other agents.
By some of the other agents. So we give him a try, and we're very pleased with his service.
And Marco has been consistent for over a decade.
Ever since I've been in real estate, I've used Marco.
I think I started using Marco like about a year and a half after I joined real estate.
Right.
Purely from the fact that I wasn't aware of him as much for the first year or so. But I have never, since I became aware of Marco, never stopped recommending him because he's that good.
He is that
Jason's
good.
actually a
and we
little
now
newer.
consider him as a close friend as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
He's become a friend through the process of working with him so many
Yeah.
times, and
Mhm.
him being so consistent and so dedicated. And same with Jason, very consistent, very dedicated to what they
Yeah.
do, and they do a great job. So, we'll give them a little shout out here.
Yeah.
Let's kind of wrap this up though, because part of the respect as well is also between the agents, and it's really important. And while you as the customers, that may not matter to you, it really should, because when your agents are able to have respect for each other and able to really recognize that that the agent on the other side is a good person to work with, and that they want the best for their client, and they recognize you want the best for your client, that just makes the whole transaction go
It
smoothly.
makes it go much easier.
So much
Yeah.
more, so much easier, so much more smooth, and
Yeah.
it just brings a pleasantness to the transaction overall.
Yeah, there's certain
Oh.
agents that we've had multiple transactions with in the past, from all different companies.
Yep.
And when you get an accepted offer from one of theirs, you think, oh, thank you, because
Yeah.
we know this one's
I mean,
going to
we're
be
in some transactions
smooth.
right now with a couple
Yeah.
of First Weber agents,
Yeah.
and one of the First Weber agents I've never worked with before, but she seems to be really amazing, and I'm enjoying the experience.
Uh-huh.
The other one that you're working with, on the flip side of that,
I've worked with him
we've worked
multiple
with him
times.
multiple times and just absolutely adore him and
Yeah,
love
he's a
working
great
with him.
agent, and we always have a smooth transaction.
I'm not gonna ever. First of all, because it's against our ethics to say anything bad about other agents. That's fair enough. But if somebody were to say something, like when we have our open houses, and people come in and they say, "Oh, I'm working with someone else," or they tell us who they're working with. We ask who they're working with, and they tell us. And when they tell us, there are certain agents where I go, "Oh, you're going to have a great experience." If it's not a great agent, I can't say anything because that's unethical, and I wouldn't.
I'm glad you're working with an agent. That's great stuff.
I'm glad you're
But
working with an agent.
other times we say,
They
they're
are
a
so good.
really,
We
really
love
good
working
agent.
with them. So
Yeah.
if you want to make an offer on this property, we'd be happy to work with your agent because they're amazing.
Yeah.
And that actually makes clients feel good. And it also, I think it surprises people when they come into an open house and they hear another agent
From a different company. Yeah. Mhm.
raving on their agent. First of all, it validates them.
Yes.
But it also makes them recognize that, wow, this is a different level of real estate.
Yes.
There's a different level. There are real estate agents who are very scarcity mindset and just want to push, and no other agent is as good as them. I will never say that. There
No.
are other agents out there that are equally as good as you and I are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, there are some that in some areas are better.
Oh, yeah.
In some
Yeah.
areas, there are agents who are better. Like, I don't think that I would really do well listing a horse property because I don't have the knowledge at this
Yeah.
point about listing rural property in that way. It's just not a skill that I have.
But there are some agents out there that have owned horses, that have grown up on horse farms,
Exactly.
that know them inside out.
Absolutely. And they are specialists in that area, and that's who you should go to if that's
Yes,
what you're looking for.
definitely.
You should absolutely go to somebody who's a specialist. We are our specialty is in move up families, or families that are moving up to their next home. Whether it's their second or third move doesn't really matter, but we work with our specialty is working with families who are moving up in Racine and Kenosha.
Yeah.
And that's where we excel, and we know what we're really good at, and
We know our
that's-
market. We know,
Absolutely.
we excel in that field. And
It's not to say that
so-
we don't work with other people. I've worked with
Oh,
people
no.
who downsize and et cetera, et cetera. That's
Yeah.
not a problem. But what we are just awesome at is working with families who are upsizing, because we have a lot of techniques and a lot of features built into our systems that help them in the matter of how we handle kids at showings, how we handle different transactional things that have to do with families that are very
Yeah.
specific to especially if you have kids and parents, and how to manage juggling all of that and your schedules and all of the craziness that goes with that. Like for example, with a lot of busy families, we'll sometimes go out and show them the house, and then they'll come back and you'll sit on Zoom and talk to them about writing up their offer so that they can go home, put the kids to bed, and then we're comfortable getting on Zoom with them and talking over it.
Yeah, I've either spoken to them on Zoom or I've gone round later on in the evening when the kids are in bed, rather than meeting at the office to go over the inspection reports, things like that. I've met up with them at their house.
We have all of our technology in place so that it's easy for us to come to you, because if you're a really busy family and you're out on showings till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, you want to get home and put your kids to bed before you make any grand decisions on the rest of your life. So we try to keep those things in. So that's why that's one of our specialties, and that's just a little sampling of what we do. But speaking of a little sampling of what we do and open houses and things like that.
So 3 of us are doing open houses.
Yes, so my
obviously
condo,
there's a lot more out there as well.
So why don't you talk about yours first, then I'll talk about my condo, and then you talk about the last one.
Okay, so I am going to be at, if I can find my mouse.
What's the address? Go ahead and read the address.
It's 238 East Point View Drive.
That's all they need to know.
And I'm going to be there Sunday from 12 till 2.
I thought we were doing 12:30 to 2:30.
I haven't changed it, so it's 12 till 2.
That might get changed to 12:30 to 2:30, so just keep an eye on your emails, folks. All right. But he'll be there either 12 or 12:30.
Because I wasn't allowed to go to the office today.
Oh, that's not fair.
I couldn't change it. Jimmy's going to be at 4826 70th Street in Kenosha. He's doing that Saturday from 10 till 12.
Okay.
So he's going to be at that one.
That's a great
one. Then
I'm going to be at 6537 Spring Street, Unit 203. And I'll be there Sunday from 12:30 to 2:30 for sure.
And that's an absolutely huge condo, guys.
2,100 square foot condo. This is the deal that just fell apart, and this is of course assuming that now it just went back on the market this afternoon. So this is under the assumption that that we don't have an offer by Sunday, but you know, we'd like to see what else is out there. I think we might wait till Sunday to accept an offer anyway. I think the seller might.
I don't blame you, because it's a really good property.
Absolutely.
Let's get as many.
Let's get it out there to as many people as possible and make sure that people can see it. So 6537 Spring Street, Unit 203. I will have signs out because with condos, it can be a bit confusing if you don't put signs out. There is a little bit of construction going on in that area. Don't worry. You can still drive onto Sunny Slope, because this is one of those Sunny Slope condos. So you can still drive onto Sunny Slope from Spring Street. So, feel free, even though the road is a bit torn up.
Join us at one of our open houses. Obviously, we'll be sending out the details on the video on Facebook.
If you want to know, if you want to sign up for our open house thing, just send us an email. What we do is then we'll send you an email that you respond to, and you're in. And then you'll see all the open houses for everyone.
You'll get a regular video each week. That tells you what open houses we're doing, with a link to all the open houses.
Not just ours, but others.
Yeah. So
so just let us know if you want to be part of that. If you're I suggest people go to open houses about 6 months before they're actually ready to buy. Start going to open houses.
Get an idea of what's out there, pricing, size, what you're looking for.
What your expectations are.
Yeah.
So, absolutely and definitely. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight, you guys. Sorry that I had that coughing fit in the middle and almost expired in the other room, I think. Oh, my goodness. That was horrible. But thanks so much for joining us tonight, and be well. Enjoy your life. And if you know somebody who needs to buy and sell real estate, well, you know who to call.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Give us a call, and we'll see you same time next week.
All right. Bye for now.